The 7 minutes.
I think the argument right now about the Naira devaluation is welcome because this will not be the first time we have been in this argument. In 1986, when Babangida came to power, after the regime of Muhammad Buhari, who worked to fix the exchange rate, we soon ran out of dollars, and Naira was in a bad shape, but we held the value artificially, and that led to a regime of product scarcities because we couldn't import anything. But you see that we're back to that place several years after. Means we didn't learn any lessons, because from what we saw in 1983 and through the cycles of oil booms and oil busts that have happened since then, with the last being 2008, 2009, Nigeria ought to have been prepared for today. But since we are not prepared, we cannot eat our cakes and have it, guys. It makes economic sense to adjust the exchange rate of your currency depending on the performance of your economy and depending on the productivity. It is the productivity of an economy that gives value to its currency. In a situation where productivity is low, last 2015 we ended with a 2.85% GDP growth, unlike in 2014 where we ended with 6.58% growth in GDP. So you can see a very massive drop. Our oil income has dropped. Oil used to give us almost 70 to 80% of our national income. In 2016 budget, we're spending 820 billion from oil, which is about 14% of our budget. Can you imagine the drop from 80 or 70% to 14%? So productivity has declined, income has declined.
We need to increase productivity to have more output. When you have more output, it will checkmate, okay? Both inflation, both the currency. We begin to produce what we consume in more of what we consume. If you go to shops, between 75 and 80% of all the shops, like ShopRite and all that, all the items you find there are imported. It's on less than 30% are produced within Nigeria. But with this, we can see it, even government can make it as a policy.
When tomorrow, by grace of God, either through a resurgence or recovery of oil price, or through our ability to invest a lot more in local production to bring up productivity, and then GDP begins to grow, we appreciate our currency. We allow it to appreciate because the strength is fairer. But you can't have an economy that we have now and you're propping up an exchange rate that is not right. You are damaging the economy. You're damaging the economy in many ways, and people need to do that. One is that you've created two markets today, parallel market and the official market. People go and buy dollar at 198 in the official market and do whatever it takes to sell it in the official market, and they're making more than 100% margin. That will continue to fuel that quest. Secondly, if you are asking people to go and get Naira at 198, not many people are not getting it at that level, even for the so-called necessities that government says should buy from that window. You know, when you have scarce commodity and there is discretion, corruption sets in. So as me and you are speaking, we're building another avenue for corruption through the banks, from central to commercial. And that's not good for us. If we are fighting corruption, we should not give opportunity for corruption to raise its head anywhere else.
We need to begin to encourage local production and local consumption of items. It's already happening. If you don't find dollar to import your items, you're forced to look inwards. Look at textiles. We can begin to look at it. Look at Aba. Aba holds the key to Nigeria's economic development. We have to focus in Aba to make sure that Aba produces what we consume. We don't need to import salt, for instance. But salt, we have salt, even in my village in Uburu in Ebonyi State, we have a big salt lake, which can also be used if investment can be done there, to begin to produce. It was the same salt that helped the Biafran during the Civil War, that sustained the Biafra people, okay, during the Civil War. Okay, we can also use that to produce. You can produce the salt that we need in this country and export. We also have to increase the value chain of our agriculture. We need to begin to think differently about our agriculture. That way, we begin to, once we increase the valuation of our agriculture, we don't need to. The old model that the colonial masters gave to us, the template they left with us was we should export our raw materials, they will process it, export our cocoa, raw cocoa, then they will process it into Bonvita and send to us to buy, to consume. No, it shouldn't be so. We should actually be able to process, increase the value chain of our agriculture, to begin to think of agriculture as 95% science and 5% work. Right now, it's 5% science and 95% work. You can't grow your agriculture like that.
We are short of dollars. And anybody that is short of any currency or any commodity will find to create opportunities for that currency to flow in, for that commodity to flow in, for that product to flow in. Right now, the foreign investors and other people who have dollar they want to bring into Nigeria are hesitant to bring them, because if they bring them, they are compelled to exchange them at the official rate, which is 198. And at the same time, they know that that same dollar can fetch 350 naira. So they are not able to do so. They are waiting for some rate of adjustment. They're not asking to go to 350, but nobody sees an opportunity to get $190 or $198 or $200 against getting 300 and then chooses the 200. Only very few people do that. So that is another problem. And when you talk about devaluation, it is something that will benefit the country in two ways. First is that if we take our dollar and exchange it for 300 instead of 200, we're earning 100 naira more. That will create more money for the states. Because this money we're talking about Nigeria has is money that belongs to the Federation. The earnings they've earned from oil belongs to the Federation. So that will give more money to the states that today can't pay salaries. Number two is that when you are able to allow the dollar to find its rate, not only will more people come into the economy, and these will come into the economy are called investors, and they will begin to invest, and through their investment they create jobs. When they create jobs, they create people who can pay tax, and when people can pay tax, government receives more revenue. So we are not, nobody, I want Nigeria currency to be strong, but I am sufficiently economically literate to know that it will not happen by mere wish, it will not happen by mere pronouncement, it will only happen by backing the dollar, the naira with production. And production can only come through investment, because investments instigate production and wealth creation. That is what I'm saying.